Hi everyone, it's Shelley and welcome to episode 33 of Snowed, the Michael Snow is a Fraud story. So many of you were pretty excited that I got him out of my house, literally pushed him and, beat him out of my house. He was grabbing things that he could take on the way out and off he went. The first place he went to was the farmer's wife, Cindy. I have so much to show you in this episode. It's getting really good now. So you can see later that night, he texts me and he says, I'm the victim. I am clearly the victim. Nobody deserves to be assaulted. Nobody, no matter the reason. You never even said sorry. You broke my effing collarbone for F's sakes. I didn't, but that's just his drama and his chaos and, his extreme bullshit talking. If you effed someone, I'd never act like that. Well, you know what? I wouldn't have done that to him. And he said, never. Apparently, I also left some marks on his body, and he did send me those. I think I've since deleted them, and it's really too bad because I would have loved to have shown you. I'm sure you all would have been quite thrilled. And there were a few comments that said, you might want to rephrase that. You are implicating yourself in domestic abuse. And quite frankly, I have no problem saying what I did. I have absolutely no problem admitting that. I guess, that's the difference between Mr. Snow and I. I'll take responsibility for what I did. So once he was out of the house and I had been, chatting with Shelley, I then thought, what the heck, let's reach out to the other woman I suspected, and that was Denise. And it was quite interesting because her first comment to me was, I've been waiting for you. She said, please talk to me. I'm not your enemy. I've wanted to reach out to you so many times. I just didn't know how you would react. So we pretty much spent the entire night on the phone chatting, texting, and Shelley, Denise, and I. And, the reason that Denise was okay to finance this car for Mr. Snow was because she thought they were in a relationship. And Denise has so much to tell you when she comes on regarding that. That's her story to tell. And I know she's eager to say it. So that will be coming up in the next few days to a week, okay? So the first thing my kids did was they backed up a U-Haul and they packed all of Mr. Snow's stuff. So there you can see, those kids, they just worked and they just loaded up his stuff. We took it to a storage unit. I paid for 1 month and then I had it revert into his name. So he had a month to deal with his stuff. At any rate, I'll show you some of the things that I found. I found a lot of stuff like this because what I did forget to tell you is that Mr. Snow prides himself on his panty collection. So every woman that he's been with, and you might recognize this if you've been with him, he likes to take a pair of panties from you as a trophy. So here's a photo. You can see there's my family members. They're packing up his stuff. This was in my basement and what he had set up as an office. It was actually quite a disaster zone down there. Some more photos of his office. You can see he's got notes for his last company on that whiteboard and his American flag and his Marine Corps emblem. The blueprints you can see. I mean, he had the stuff, you guys. He had the stuff. At the same time, he did want some of his things. So you can see how nicely I packed them for him and I threw them down the steps. And that actually is Cindy, the farmer's wife that he was staying with, because I told him he was not coming to my house. And you can also see the Yaris is still sitting in the front. So when he left, when I finally got him out the door, I can't even express to you the profound sense of relief I felt. Like I had finally broken free from this. I was done. It was over. It was just, I can't even describe it, you guys. It was amazing. I just felt so good about it, that it was finally over. And you can see, here's a photo of me looking quite dirty. We had worked all day and we'd moved his stuff into this storage unit. So you can see I'm quite thrilled with myself. I'm also going to show you a photo of a few things I did find while we were packing up. And if you look at that gold S, and this photo might be taken down if someone looks too close at it, but if you scroll in and, have a really good look at that gold S, you can see there what I found. And I just want you to know that those were not mine. Those did not belong to me, even though Mr. Snow tried to gaslight me and say that they were in fact mine. They were not. They were in his briefcase. So after chatting some with Denise, she told me that the Jeep was in fact sitting at her house. Of course, this Jeep, like they're looking for it everywhere. They want to repossess it. And this affects me financially, not Mr. Snow, because that Jeep loan was in my name. Now, no matter what he tries to say, the bank did, in fact. I financed it and the Jeep went into his name. When it started to the point where it was going to get repossessed, the bank was absolutely demanding that that Jeep went back into my name. So Mr. Snow, of course, this is how he manages to keep all these things. He had the registration put in my name and his own. So it was now in both of our names, but it still didn't help me because the loan was in my name itself. I knew a while ago, I knew what was happening. I knew that this is how he was getting his vehicles, the Range Rover, the Jeep, the Harley, the Yaris. And I knew that I needed to get that Jeep back into my name. So I had spoken to SGI earlier, and they told me because he had put himself as the primary, I couldn't just put it back into my name. So one night when he was rather drunk after a 26 of whiskey, I did have him sign a legal paper from SGI, and he did willingly. I explained to him, and, drunk as a skunk. So, maybe that drinking did help me out after all. So I figured now was the time I needed to put new plates and register that Jeep in my name. And so knowing that it was sitting at the ex-girlfriend's place, or the current, I don't know if she was current, or I think we all considered ourselves exes at that point, I got some plates, and my son-in-law drove me to Regina, and he changed out the plates. Well, I got to meet Denise and her family. Lovely, lovely people. Now, Mr. Snow at this time, I guess he decided he was going to take the Jeep and he was going to leave me the little Yaris that Denise was actually paying for at this point. And he had no idea that I'd changed the plates on there. So it did cause a lot of kerfuffle when he figured it was time to renew the plates. So I have some really good stuff to show you coming up. It's going to be a wild ride. So here's Mr. Snow. For the first little while after I turfed him, he really begged to come back. I even have him audio recorded begging to come back and for me to take him back. And I was like, yeah, no, that's not going to happen. Anyways, he does say to me, I effed up. I said, I don't know what that's supposed to mean. That's for sure. We must have been talking about something previous to this. But anyways, this is what I want you to see. I said, so are you admitting you had a relationship with her? And I'm talking about Shelley at this point. And he says, for all the damage she's trying to do. I said, why? Because you had a relationship with her, slept with her? All I want is the truth. He said, I don't consider what happened with her and I a relationship. I said, well, she does. He said, to be honest, I was just trying to get money out of her. I said, I have the text messages, Mike. And he said, yes, I led her on to get money. There you go. That's Mr. Snow's MO. Stay tuned for the next episode.